Hello, Fosin. How are you all? Hope so you all are fine. Today we are going to discuss about the aspects of contemporary culture and society with a special reference to popular culture. I've already discussed a little bit about popular culture. So let's discuss. Now, first of all, what do we mean by popular culture? Like popular culture is a term refers to the variety of cultural forms in circulation in a society which are characterized by their being available for common consumption. Now, what it means to say? Now, here we see that the culture is already present and it depends upon the people how they adopt it. The idea of popular culture is not new. It is nothing new. It is from the very before. Depends upon the society. In fact, in many ancient cultures of the world, a distinction was made between the different kinds of cultural forms based on the classes that were involved in their consumptions. That means from the very beginning, at least in many of the dominant discourses in the West, especially in the West, popular culture was seen in opposition. That means it was in opposition to the elitist, sophisticated, and selective conditions, more commonly designated as high culture. You see, they designated it as high culture that sought to separate the classes. That means having this culture, that means in the West especially, they separate the classes. Now, if we talk about the Victorian society or the Victorian period, in fact, in Victorian society, the division between high and popular culture was, like you can say, starkly manifested in many agencies that sought to perpetuate it through ideological structure. Now, through different ideological structure, they have discussed about, especially if you talk about Roy Wagner. Now, Roy Wagner makes a very significant observation about this aspect of the relativity of gradation in cultural studies in his essay called The Idea of Culture. You better remember it. You may have for 1 mark. That is the idea of culture. Now, what it is? The idea of culture, in other words, places the researcher in a position of equality with his subjects. Each belongs to a culture because every culture can be understood as a specific manifestation or for example of the phenomena of man, and because no infallible method has ever been discovered. I mean, nothing has been discovered for grading different cultures and sorting them into their natural types. That means no sorting, nothing, no method has been discovered to like separate the cultures. We assume that every culture as such is equivalent to every other one. Now, this assumption we call it as cultural relativity. So you better remember it's called, the assumption is also called cultural relativity. Now, let's discuss a little bit more. Like, while popular culture was seen in its graded terms in the dominant critical discourses till the early part of the 20th century, there has been a shift in emphasis in the way the dichotomy of popular, or you can say high, in being resituated. The items and properties that constitute popular culture are disseminated by a variety of agencies. So there were lots of agencies having popular culture, such as you can discuss, such as you can say films, televisions, commercials, best booksellers, and the present the internet. Now these are all popular culture. Like at the same time, not all that is accessible through these agencies constitute popular culture. It is not that only the film, television, commercials and internet all can also be considered as a popular culture. But if you remove these also from other aspects of society also, we can get popular culture. Like another thing is that like what is popular at a given time may not be acceptable or may even go out of fashion at the later time. Now this point is very much important, that what is popular now at the present time may not be popular in the future. That means what you are liking nowadays you may not like at the after some years, you can say. Like take the case of the of the Beatles. Now you all know the Beatles, the classic pop. Now in the 1960s, when Beatlemania gripped the youth populations, its fall from popularity was unthinkable. You know, it totally was unthinkable. It was so much popular. Like in the first decade of the status of Beatles as one of the classic pop acts of all time is assured.